In this video, I'm going to share with you what I think is one of the most important books of our time, and it is called A Lean Startup by Eric Ries. If you're someone who has an idea to help make an impact in an international setting, for example, let's say you have an idea to go to Africa and start a nonprofit, or you want to build a social enterprise that helps solve a major problem, like poverty or hunger, or maybe you just want to help out in some way, this book is for you. I read this book many years ago, and it totally changed the way I approach doing business, especially internationally. Let me share with you a few of my favorite quotes from the book so you can get a feel for how this book approaches doing business. Entrepreneurs need to answer two questions. First, are you building the right thing? And second, are you building it in the right way? If you aren't learning how to build the right thing quickly and cheaply, then you aren't learning at all. Startups progress through a series of validated learning milestones. The most important attribute for a startup is its ability to adapt and integrate new information into its model quickly and efficiently. Most companies die because they take too long to learn these lessons. Too often, entrepreneurs fall in love with their ideas instead of their customers. If you're going to build something people actually want. Don't assume you know what your customer wants or needs before you actually talk to them. You might think you have the best idea to help people, but if people don't want what you're offering, no matter how passionate you are about your idea, it will never succeed. So often we hear about problems that are happening in developing countries or in other parts of the world where we want to make an impact. But unless we truly understand the problem and the people affected by it, our ideas will not work. It is easy to sit behind a computer and come up with a great idea to solve a problem you see on the news or online. But you can't make change in another country if you do and fully understand the culture and the situation on the ground. You won't be able to make real change unless you have a deep understanding of the people and the environment you are trying to help. This is why I started Go Overseas. I wanted to make it easier for people to experience life in other countries firsthand so they could make a real impact. When I was younger, I had the desire to travel to other countries, but I didn't have any money. So when I learned there was a job I could do remotely from pretty much anywhere in the world, I jumped at the opportunity. Working online gives me the freedom to live in different countries and experience life from a local perspective. When you're sitting behind a computer, you can get lost in your own little echo chamber. Sometimes you don't realize how different things are for people in other parts of the world. For example, here in Thailand, the internet isn't always reliable. And since I moved here, I've learned to be more patient when things don't work properly. When I lived abroad in places with less reliable internet, I realized how lucky I was to live in the US, where the internet was fast and reliable. It's easy to complain about things when you're comfortable, but sometimes it's good to step outside your comfort zone and realize how good you have it back home. It makes you appreciate the things you have, and it also gives you perspective on the problems others face. One of the biggest problems facing startups today is that they try to grow too quickly without first testing the market. Many companies take a huge risk, pouring all their resources into a product or service that may or may not have a market. That's why the Lean Startup approach focuses on building a minimum viable product to test the market, instead of spending months or even years building a product. The Lean Startup approach would have you build a basic version of the product so you can get feedback as soon as possible. Once you know people want what you're offering, then you can expand. This approach allows you to validate your idea early and often so you can make changes along the way. Before I read this book, I made the mistake of spending way too much time planning things out before taking action. But the truth is, until you talk to a customer, you won't really know if your idea is any good. This is true for almost everything in life. When I was in college, I wanted to become an engineer. I spent a lot of time studying engineering and science courses, and I was terrible at it. I thought I wasn't smart enough to become an engineer. Then I took a course called Engineering and Society. In this class, I learned about all the different types of engineers there are. One type of engineer that stood out to me was industrial engineering. Industrial engineering involves solving complex problems in manufacturing, supply chain, logistics, and more. At the end of the course, we had to interview with different engineering companies to see which type of company would hire us after graduation. During one of the interviews, I told the interviewer that I was interested in industrial engineering because I liked math and science. She looked at me and said, "No one becomes an industrial engineer because they like math and science. People become industrial engineers because they like to solve problems." Her words really stuck with me. I became an engineer because I like solving problems, not because I'm great at math and science. We tend to overcomplicate things when the solution is usually simple. So don't overthink things. Take small steps to test your assumptions and validate your idea. Once you gain some traction, then expand. This is what I call the build, measure, learn loop. Build something people actually want. Measure how many people use it and learn from the data. Use that knowledge to improve the next version and repeat the process. Building a business or an idea that helps make an impact in the world takes time, patience, and a lot of hard work. My advice is to follow the approach outlined in this book and validate your idea early and often. As an entrepreneur, it's easy to get caught up in your own little echo chamber. So make sure to get outside perspectives early and often. If you're rethinking about starting a business or an idea that helps make an impact in the world, then I highly recommend you pick up a copy of this book. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this book changed the way I do business, and it can do the same for you. It doesn't matter if you were just starting out or if you've been around the block a few times. Everyone can benefit from the lessons shared in this book. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate that. And if you know anyone who might benefit from this video, please share it with them. Until next time, happy travels.